Hey, what's up, y'all? How y'all doing? How you doing? How you doing? Yeah, having a beautiful time, having a wonderful time, having a lovely time. Hopefully, y'all blessed. Hopefully, y'all lives are going wonderful. Yeah, it's all good. Life is beautiful. Yes, it is. God is good. That's all I got to say, regardless. So anybody feel about life is beautiful. Beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. If you're on this live, please hit that like button. Please hit that subscribe button. If you haven't already, let's talk. That's what the title of the video is. Let's talk. Don't matter what the subject. Well, it do matter to some extent. Some things I ain't gonna talk about on no darn screen. I'm just not going to. I'm not gonna talk about it. But now I'm chilling. Today I'm chilling. I'm behaving myself, having a wonderful time, drinking my water. Just so y'all know, it's usually just plain old water in here. I do drink coffee, but I usually get that earlier in the morning, and I stick to my 1 cup a day, possibly. And sometimes I don't even finish the whole cup. I like the taste of how I make it, and I drink to where I don't want no more. Then that's it. As rarely do I go through a whole cup of coffee. Most of the time, it's probably half or 75% of the cup I might go through, and then after that, once in a while I might finish a whole cup. I go, Dunkin' Donuts, get me a cup of coffee and donut, and like I said, I'll finish. I don't even finish the whole cup. I just once I had enough, the rest of it ended up getting wasted basically. But I like coffee, but I'm not a heavy coffee drinker. But I do like coffee. The way I make my coffee, it's not the most healthiest. Trust me when I tell you, it is not a recommendation of the way I make my coffee is not a recommendation for anyone else. But now I'm just sitting there chilling, 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 chilling. Um, you know, I just say let's talk because there's always going to be a subject to talk about. And you know, one thing I can say is what is it? What did that was that Trump just signed the Takedown Act. I think act where I mean the Takedown Act, where basically for people that's being maliciously like AI and people do using AI and stuff like that, basically put out some provocative or some type of videos and stuff like that. And I think that type of stuff are women who've been agreed to certain things that now their physical body or their life is being destroyed because somebody thought it was funny to take pictures and images of them and just spew it all over the internet or wherever. So to take down that, I think is probably by far more going to protect women from this type of stuff where they can actually have it removed more easily. However, way I didn't listen to every detail. Like I rarely go through the details until I get a chance to. But just what he said in a nutshell to me is unnecessary. And again, like it or not, that affects women by far more than men. And that right there tells you again. They said he didn't care about women, but yet he's making another decision that protects women, keeping men out of women's sports protects women. But it is what it is. I wasn't really intending to get into that, but I just think I think it's a good thing for people that suffer through that type of stuff, the embarrassment of it and stuff like that. It's not something that they wanted for themselves, and having to fight through a whole lot of whatever to have it removed. I think it's a good thing for anybody, but I just think women would probably be more beneficial from it than men would. But I think it's a good thing for everybody because you got people that just out here doing malicious stuff no matter what. But the other thing is No, I think it's sad what's happening to Biden. I think he was already sick though. I don't think that this is no new information as far as his health goes. We've seen it. A lot of people seen it. You know, they wanted us to lie about, act like we don't believe what we see. It's still sad. My prayer go out to him and his family. You know, I wish him well. Biden's not a young man and by any means, so I don't know how that's going to play out. But God bless him. Um, Hopefully, God bless him with strength and health, and you know, they able to do the best they can do through this. Like I said, I don't wish anything bad for anybody. I don't have no hate for Joe Biden. I don't like the job that he did, but the job that they do and the individual is two different things. His job performance was horrible, but I don't have no hate for nobody as an individual. I wish him well. I wish him better health. And long life. We don't. None of us know our time. None of us know our expiration dates. So neither here nor there. But hopefully, he's doing all right. Hopefully things get better for him. But we don't know how to say. But I just think I think it's sad what they did to him. And I said this a while back. I didn't elaborate on it a whole lot, but I just think it's sad what they did to him. Like, I really do. I think the Democrat. This is why I always say Democrat are they love criminals, and I called them evil and I called them corrupt because they paraded a sick man around and used him for whatever they could use him for, and then when he was no longer useful, they just kicked him to the curb. And just these are the very same people that the kid DJ who suffered all these cancer issues that Trump mentioned, and they couldn't even stand up in honor of the young man who survived cancer. They couldn't do it. They hate that they have in their heart. It's so horrible. It's so mean. I'm talking about these Democratic politicians. They hate that they have. It's so evil and festered in them. And they couldn't even stand up for a cancer victim. Like you can't get no worse than that. I mean, you can't. And I'm not even talking about all of the other things that he was talking about. I'm just talking about that in particular. So it makes sense why they use an old, very sick man the way they use him. They juiced him up, paraded him around, used him for whatever they wanted to use him for. And then when he was no longer useful, they kicked him to the curb and treated him like trash. And these are the very same people that want your vote. Keep voting for him. I mean, that's your choice. That's your right. That's your right. But it's something that you really need to reconsider. And this is the reason why I have no love for them, the Democratic Party as it stands right now. I mean, they might change down the road. They might get better down the road. I don't know. I'm not honestly. I'll probably be public enemy number one to them because I see what they have done to. First of all, they have done to the black community, and at that point, it was just enough is enough. Y'all didn't use them. They did the same thing to the black community. But now that they can't really pull a lot of the stuff that they used to be able to pull over the black community, they start trying to create their own voters by bringing them illegal immigrants over here to try to do the same thing. People are weird, man. I mean, they just evil and they're weird. People can say what they want to say. I get a lot of, I get feedback. I mean, some negativity from people that still want to hold on to that, and they lose every conversation in it because they have nothing to stand on. But if you want to stand on evil and you want to stand on corruption to that level, I mean, none of us are perfect, but man, God, what how much worse can it be? But they would always come in and try to point out a few things about this side, but ignore a million things on that side. They will want to talk about the one or two things. Oh, this, and that, because for some reason they think we're looking for perfection and we're not. But I'm not going to go support something that is 90% evil. 90% of what the Democratic Party is right now is evil. Evil. There is no good left in them. I don't see nothing good coming out of the Democratic Party. And that's why I go in on them like I go in on them. And if you watch what they do and watch what they say and how they function, they have been proving me right over and over and over. And I've had people argue me down. And I just say, okay, just watch. And then I turn around and look like, okay. Okay. And what ended up happening? It turns into the same thing over and over again. But you know what? It is what it is. But It's good. It's cool. It's cool. It's cool. I think that's the wonderful thing about America is that you have the right to disagree. You have the right to not, to follow whatever you want to follow, believe what you want to believe, stand on whatever you want to stand on, support whatever you want to support. That's the beauty of it. It's cool. It's 100% cool. Ain't nobody mad at you. Ain't nobody. Ain't nobody mad at you. But yeah, it's all good. But as it relates to the stock market, I was the other day I was on video, and I know if you're on this live, please hit the like button, please hit the subscribe button. I appreciate it. But the other day, I'm trying to get to it. Sorry, but sometimes I don't remember all these stock codes, so I'll be trying to go in, figure out what I was what the actual stock code of the that I'm thinking about. I know it's United. I think it's United Health or something like that. But this is what I mean by sometimes, and this, like I said, we don't get a lot of stuff. You ain't gonna get right all the time. But yeah, it was UNH, and I was talking about this the other day, and I had bought some, but just a little bit of money there, and I kind of wish I would have. Well, I didn't have it at the time anyway, so it didn't matter. But like I always say, I go into my what I call broke man investing, and I started putting money there, and then not long after, I was hoping it would stay down, like stay your behind down there, don't go too fast. I gotta get some more bread to put it there, but it didn't. Today is going back down, but the day that I bought it, it was at I got it at 260, but it actually dropped all the way down to $250 a share. And I started putting money in there. I got it at 260. It still went below than that. And I put a little bit more. But either way, it doesn't matter. It just, in a couple of days, I think even the next day, a couple of days later, shot back all the way up to $330. Right now, it's sitting at 314. But it didn't shoot all the way up to like 330, I think it was. Let me see. 325. Somewhere right in. But this is what I mean by sometimes, when you read these stories, and I read the story and what was going on about the company, and I think it was the CEO, and I think it was under some type of investigation or whatever. I read it, not the whole story, but just a general enough for me. Hey, top to bottom, how you doing? God bless you. Good morning to you too. Also, I read some of this story and I was just like, okay, I'm see what this is all about. So what I did was I said, okay, at $260, this stock at one point, if I'm not mistaken, was all the way up to it was over $500 a share at one point. So I was like, you know what? That's a 50% drop. So I started buying it, and then it shot up to like 200. It now is at 300 and something dollars. But here's my point to that is that why I watch the market on a regular basis doesn't mean I buy every day. I try to if I can, but if someone that would have bought that stock, and let's say they put $1,000 in that day at the price of 250, or even where I got that, which was the second time around 260, they would have and decided, you know what, I'm gonna jump off of it. I'm buying it because this is what some people does on the stock market. They would have sold it, and they would have made a nice difference in that. They probably would have made. I'm going to say, if I just had to do quick math on top of my head, probably would have made another $250 off their money. And I'm just doing quick math. Don't mean I'm absolutely right, but I'm just doing quick math. If they would have invested that day at 250 and at 300 and something dollars a share and sold off, they would have easily that day made some money. Now I'm not buying it to sell it. I'm just saying that if that was a person, me, I'm holding. I'm gonna keep collecting what dividends it pay out, and I'm gonna keep riding it out. And I'm not buying no more because at this point it's above what I originally bought it at. If for some reason the short start, because sometimes they'll short the stock and you'll see it fall down again, and they jump out, and they might possibly go back down that low. If it goes back down to that below my average, I'll start buying some more. That's what I do. And we'll see what happens down the road. I do the same thing. That's why I call it broke man investing. When I start talking about when I'm buying stock, people be like, oh, you must be making. No. I tell people, if you got $1, there's no excuse these days. And like I said, I'm not giving nobody, telling you what you should and should not do. I'm not a financial advisor. But I'm just saying what I do. Take $1, $2, $5. I've been doing this for a while now. And I'll wait it out, establish my amount, and that's it. And so far, it worked out for me. And I just buy it and I hold. Like I was telling on another video, I was talking about Ford Motor Company. Now, I bought Ford Motor Company and I was trying to get 100 shares of it. And I finally got to the 100 shares, and my average cost is $9.65. That's where I'm averaging. Ford Motor Company right now, they're sitting at $10 or something a share. Sitting at $10.82 a share. Now I got my money in there fast enough, my 100 shares, before they announced the dividends and actually put in the cutoff date of, like, dividends work like let's say they're going to pay out 15 cents a share, which is what Ford Motor Company pays out in dividends every 3 months. That's historically wise. Dividends aren't guaranteed, but historically wise, Ford has been paying 15 cents a share every 3 months for quite a while. So if you're on this live, please hit the like button. Please hit the subscribe button. I appreciate it very, very much. But Ford Motor Company paying out dividends for quite a while, but that 15 cents. So I got 100 shares, right? So I made it in there fast enough before the cutoff date, and so I'm going to get the $15, right? And it's already pending in my account that I'm going to get $15 for the 100 shares that I own in Ford at $9.65. And the reason why investing is so important to me is because if you look at that $900 and something, $9 or something a share, and I got 100 shares. So you do the math on that, that's $965, right, of my money. That means that $965 of my money in those 100 shares is what I paid for those 100 shares. Now this up right now, and I'm up about $100 and something, about $114 above what my average pay is. Some may say, "Oh, you should sell it. That's $100 something." Yeah, but I hold on. They're going to give me $15 and $15 already pending in my account. And what I always say is, if I had $965 sitting in my bank account, just sitting in a savings account, and I waited 3 months to see what happened to the $965. Yes, I understand that I still run the risk of the value of my $965 going down because the stock price goes down. That's why I said you got to be able to stomach this stuff, because it ain't something that everybody can stomach. I can. So 3 months later, I'm up $114. I got $15 in dividends coming. They're going to pay it out. At some point when they pay it out, their stock price is going to probably go down. Where, I don't know, but I know it is because they're going to take out the money for the dividends. All right, so $15 off of my $965 investment, to me, is a lot of money. To somebody else, there's only $15. To me, is a lot of money, because if I put $965 in a savings account and waited 3 months, it will still be $965. I would have gotten zero for that $965. Now, but the bank would have taken that $965 that I put there, and they would have made a killing. They would have probably made 3 to 4 times the money in there in that 3 month period, even though it's my money. And they took my money to make money, and they gave me nothing on my money. But they took the risk with my money. The bank took the risk of investing my money somewhere else for the bank to make more money. They loaned it out to somebody, invested in something else. I don't know. I don't know the details of where they take the risk, but I know that's what they're doing. So let's say they decided to take my $965 and loan it to somebody, right? Use part of that money to loan somebody a car. They're going to charge them interest and they're going to make money off that money. How much do you think they're going to share that money of that interest with me when they took my money and loaned it to somebody and made money off of the auto loan? How much did they share with me when I put my money there? Oh, they say your money is safe in the bank. It's secure in the bank. We guarantee you'll get your money back up to I think it's $250,000 is secured with protected. That's cool. I get it. But I personally rather take the risk of you taking my $965, invested it in the company, possibly get it, and in most cases, my companies that I've invested in all pay out dividends. I got $15. Now I've gotten more than $15 because I've had on and off had for it, but when Trump started making the decision that he made, I started investing back into American companies, and I'm going to hold for a while, at least for while he's in office. And $15, okay, I can take that $15. If Ford is up and I can't get no more Ford, I can put that money somewhere else, invest it somewhere else. And let's just say I take that $15, and let's say Walmart's an opportunity as a buy, or the other company I mentioned, which was UHN, I think it is, or UNH, one of them. It's an opportunity to buy. I can take that $15. So you know what? I'm gonna put that money there. And let's say that $15, when that stock was at $250, I put the $15 there. And not long after that, that stock value goes up. It starts to grow at $300 and something. So now my $15 is now made me another $5 or $6. I don't know. I'm just paraphrasing right now. That company decides it's going to pay me out a dividend too. I hold there. They pay me out a dividend. It might be a little bit of money, might be a couple of pennies. I don't know. But what I keep doing is I just keep doing the same thing over and over. Do I say I got the perfect system? No. Are you going to get rich and wealthy off what I do? Probably not. I specifically go in for the income, and I do this for a reason. Money sitting is money not getting. That's it. That's how I look at it. If it's just sitting, it ain't getting it. If I can find a way to make the money, rather investing into something that is possibly make me more money. Maybe for somebody who may be into real estate, possibly take their money and grow the wealth that way, or grow their income or their portfolios, or whatever the case may be. That's where a lot of people don't understand is that, a lot of times you're going to have problems. You're going to put money away and you're going to try to save. You're going to try and I'm not saying I have nothing against saving. My investing is my saving. Do I have money that's not invested? Yeah. But investing to me personally is saving. I don't look at it the way appreciate it top to bottom hair and skincare. I don't look at it the way some people look at it, like, oh, investing is different. No, I look at investing to me is saving. I want my money to keep working. I bought stock in Bank of America, and I really bought it a while ago, and I only bought, I think at the time I bought maybe 5 shares of it. Now, here's the point. Some of us have Bank of America. We have money probably sitting in Bank of America bank accounts. Some people do. I'm not saying everybody does, but for those people that have money sitting in Bank of America bank account, right? Just to give y'all an idea, why I do. Yeah, I got 5 shares of Bank of America, but I bought it a long time ago. I paid an average of $29 a share. Right now, Bank of America is at $44. Right now, it's at $44. Now, I've been collecting dividends off of Bank of America for a while now, and I've had the stock for quite a bit. Every 3 months, Bank of America Pays me out $1.30. Just to give you an idea. $1.30. The stock value of Bank of America from the time that I bought it at that $29 and some change, I am up 50%, 50.96% above when I originally bought it at, percentage-wise. So I paid me $125, somewhere around in that, for the money that I have in Bank of America. Out of that money, I get $1.30 every 3 months, and I've been getting it for quite a while. You say, well, why? Again, there's some downside to investing, and there's an upside. You gotta be willing, and you gotta be able to stomach that. If you can stomach it and you're patient, you can do all right on the stock market. Now that's Bank of America. I'm literally up 50% above what I originally bought it for. Bought it at. I'm not saying that I am a genius. I'm not saying that I got all the answers, because that is not the case. I'm just patient. I use what little bit of money I got to work with. I don't sacrifice no bill money, no responsible money, things that I need money for. I don't do none of that. Now, York, York Water. This is a stock that is below what I pay for. I paid $34 a share, and it's a little under that. It's not that bad, but it's at $33 a share. And some change. I'm not putting the change out there, but the change. Now, York Water pays out dividends. Understand where I'm going with this. It pays out 21 cents a share every 3 months, right? Now, I don't have a lot of it. I have 5 shares of it. And that's probably about $170 of my own money. That's just York Water. I got some in other water companies too, but I'm using this one as an example. And if y'all want to know what York Water, they just basically sell drinking water. It's a collective water system. They provide people with water. Now, there is the water that come to your house, drinking water, stuff like that. Now, there are going to be quite a few videos that I'm going to do on this, but when I do them this way, it's because I know that the vast majority of people that's going to come on my live is usually the people that watches my channel on a regular basis. And my point is, I'm going to start talking like this a little bit more, because if you're interested in investing in this way, it might help you. I mean, this is not for me to give you advice on what to buy and what not to buy. But my buddy Jay was talking about water, and he did a video a while back about, people having to pay for water. And I said to him in the video that, I got stock in the water companies. So let's just say we're going to use York Water as an example at $33 a share. All right, so I'm going to go do a little bit of math. Yeah, I'm going back to school. Right now, I'm going to school. If you're on this live, please hit the like button. Please hit the subscribe button. I appreciate it very, very, very much. So let's just say, for craps and giggles, you have $30,000 of your money invested into York Water. That would give you the equivalent of about 900 shares, a little more than 900 shares. Let's say you had $30,000 invested in York Water at $33 a share, and it's a little more than 900 shares. And they paid out a dividend every 3 months, right? Based on that money, based on the dividends that I've been already collecting from that company. Now, they pay it out every 3 months. That would equate to about little under $200 every 3 months. Divide that up by 3, which we're going to put it into a monthly basis. That's $63 a month for water. Now, see where I'm going with this. This is a water company. For people that pay water bills. At $30,000, if I invested it into the water company and break that monthly, every 3 month dividend down to a monthly basis, I will be getting $63 a month back in dividend. Now, $50,000 would up the game a little more than that. Now, my point is this. Let's just say you got it a lot cheaper because you've seen a moment where that stock was real low. And you really upped the game where you probably ended up with a lot more shares at a cheaper rate. That would offset your water bill. And this is the reason why I say that this is the part of the American dream that no one talks about. That the way that the stock market and the way the system is set up, the way the stock market is set up, and the way it is, you can find a way to offset your living expenses. You can. You could either find yourself trying to struggle to make it through this system that we have and be a victim of paying the water bill, paying your electric bill, paying this, pay. But if you sacrificed early in the game, and this is nothing unique to me because many people have said this over and over long before I came along. I'm just part of a bunch of people that know the same thing that I know. And with the way things are nowadays, we have a lot easier access to stuff that we didn't have access to years ago. So for me, that's just the water bill. $30,000 in a water company, it equates to $65 a month back in your pocket. So my point is, if you did that to an electric company that is on the stock market, you did that to the insurance company that is on the stock market, you did that to the mortgage company that is on the stock market, you did that to everything that we pay into to survive in this world, at some point, you can offset the cost of your living. Yeah, it's going to take you going to work or whatever way you make your income. You're going to have to sacrifice. I'm not saying it's easy. By any means am I saying it's easy. But this is why rich people that are very smart money rich people, not the dummies that come into some money and go waste it on all this stupid stuff. But rich, wealthy people, the reason why they never go broke is because they make sure that their money is always working for them. They make sure that their money is always working for them. That's it. I get up and I go to work every day. I go to work every day. I have never missed a day of work. I'm never called out. I'm never late. The job that I do every single day. Never miss a day. And I agree with you, Don. You should get up and go to work. And that's the reason, that's exactly what I'm talking about. You can get up and you can go to work, and you can take a little bit of what you work for and do what I'm doing. Because that's exactly what I do. I never in my life came into a bunch of money. I've never came into a bunch of this and bunch of that. Everything that I have done financially, I have done by getting up, going to work. And I've had my own businesses, and I've had some other stuff. I've had other things that I've done, but that money wasn't enough to do what I'm doing right now. And I decided to shut all of that down and, for the most part, go this route. I got up every day and I went to work. That's it. I still do. Donald, just for you know, I don't tell nobody what I do for work. but just understand that I do. I get up and go to work every single day. I've never missed a day. I never called out. My job, the way my job works, I go to work every single day. Don't miss a beat. But from the time that I started this, up until this point, I've done the same thing once I realized that door was open for me on this. And most people don't understand is this, that my journey started when I found out about Robinhood. And this is not a promotion for Robinhood itself, but that's where it started. I mean, I've always believed in investing. When I worked at Home Depot, I invested in Home Depot, and I made some good money. But I shouldn't have never took the money out. I should have left it there. That was my fault. I should have left it there. But I saw it, and I was like, oh, I'm going to need it. I knew it. Why wouldn't I tell people what I do for a living? Because everything ain't everybody's business. Let's just say, Donald, I have a CDL. And you'll understand. If you can't figure it out from that, then you don't know. But I have a CDL. That's about as far as it's going to go with me. But yeah. And that's what I do every single day. And that's why I call it broke man investment. Because I'm broke. I'm not broke right now. I'm not broke. At this moment, yeah, Donald, that's what I drive. Basically, if you want to look at it, listen, I drive. But I've done other jobs. But yes, I drive. Right now, I drive. But even other jobs that I was on, I went to work every day. And I wasn't one of those people that call out and do all this other stuff. This journey started with me. This journey started with me. I was at another job when it started. I wasn't at this. I wasn't doing what I'm doing right now. Started with another job. But when I realized that Robinhood, now it might have been other companies that did it, but Robinhood said you didn't have to pay to trade. I decided at that point it was an open door for me, and I was like, oh wow, that's what's up. You on this live, please hit the like button, please hit the subscribe button. And I'm giving y'all an idea of what journey was. And that's what made me start. And that was where my journey started at. It started on, I went to open my account with Robinhood. And then I started, I understood about buying stock to some extent, but I knew I was going to have to learn. And I was going to have to learn it quick. And that's what I did. I opened up my account and looked into my little bit of money I had at the time. And looked at my account. What's up, Brother Jay? How you doing, man? God bless you. God bless you. I looked at my account and I said, what do I have that I can actually sacrifice right now? And I probably had like $150 at the time. And maybe a little bit more. I don't know. And that's what I did. So I said, okay, let me figure it out. And at the time, you had to buy the whole share of Robinhood. And I was like, all right, that sucks. But after a while, Robinhood itself started growing. Like they started getting a little bit better. And I seen that, they were trying to come after Robinhood. They was really trying to shut Robinhood down because Robinhood was changing the game for a lot of people, and they didn't realize it. So what I did was I got my account opened up, and I learned. I went and studied. I found out about this company, found out this, investing and stuff like that. There was a lot of stuff I was ignorant to. As far as investing go, but I had to teach myself, and I had to learn as much as I could possibly learn. And then once I figured out what I wanted to do and how I wanted to do it, I stayed on course. And that was moments, and I'm going to let y'all know that was moments. It was bad. When I say it was bad, it was real bad. When you invest in this, and you investing in some crazy stuff happening, like with the COVID stuff, and you watch the value of your money go down, it can spook you. And when all of that originally started happening, and then it was like, what the heck is going on? This side of it, I was And I'm be honest, I'm being honest, very honest right now, very honest. When you see the value of your money, you go just poof, gone. And it can spook a person. It can like, man, I don't know what I'm doing today. And I went back to a lot of the people that has been doing this stuff for years, and I started listening to what they said. And there was something that was unique about. There was something about every one of them said the same thing. It was something that I had. They said individually wise, and they all said the same thing. When everybody's running scared, and Warren Buffett was the first person I heard it, but I also heard it from other investors, not stock traders. I don't listen to stock traders. I listen to people that invest long term because that's the advice that I prefer. Other than somebody, oh, you can do a quick trade, buy this and sell. I don't do a lot of that. So I listened to these guys, and a lot of them were saying, how to hold on. This is the best time to buy. When everybody is running scared, I get excited. That's when they get excited because you get a chance to buy something, buy into companies. And I'm not saying that this works 100%, but this is the best advice that I've ever seen that worked for me. And I said, you know what, you're gonna have to stomach this stuff. So I did. And and in that moment, instead of me being spooked and running, I took what I had. I took what I had, and what I did was I went harder. In that moment, when COVID happened, instead of me running, I didn't have a whole lot of money, but believe me, like 50% of the value of my money went away. Like it was gone. I was like, man. So what I did was I went and found out what was going on politically, what it was all about, did a lot of homework, and then that's when I ended up start buying into Pfizer, Johnson & Johnson, Moderna, and I just started buying up when I say I sacrificed money that I didn't have a lot of money, but I did have money saved at that point. And I said, you know what? I might not get this opportunity again. I don't know. So I just started buying hard. Now, Johnson & Johnson, Pfizer, and Moderna, when it peaked off, I sold all of that off. Just those three stocks right there, listening to what they said, turned around and got me back everything and some off of the money that I lost. Yes. And then it got me all the money back that I lost, amongst other stuff. And then it educated me again. And like I said, one thing I will never sit there and tell somebody that I know everything. I only talk about the stuff that I might know and some stuff through my experiences. So, and then I stayed the course. And then in that, I had a group of people in the circle of mine, in my circle that also was jumping in the same cycle of what we were doing. And I started showing them and teaching them what I was doing and how I was doing it. Now, collectively, they got their own, they handle their own. They don't basically go by my advice anymore. Because they pretty much do a lot of the same way I do it. So, in that, I learned, you know what? So it worked out for me. And then I got very, very good at what I was doing. And I became extremely more. I used the thing that worked the best, which is being patient. I learned to be patient. And then now it was just like, okay, I set small goals. And I set little small goals of what I wanted to do and how I wanted to reach the goal that I wanted to reach. And what ended up happening is that the table started turning. Everything started recovering. And it recovered back pretty much fast. And I realized at that point that there was a lot more manipulation in the stock market than even I knew. And if I'm not up, on political, if I'm not up with what's going on at the moment, I'm gonna be lost in the sauce. So what I ended up doing is I stayed on course. So that's why I call it broke man investment. That's why I say, if you got $1, if you got $2, you got $3, because Robinhood at that point changed from you having to buy everything full shares to what you could do as fraction shares. So you could buy into any company at this point at $1. And I was like, oh, that's another game changer for me personally. Somebody else, they probably didn't care. But for me, I did. So I said, now I don't have to buy the whole share. I don't have to save enough money to get the whole share. I can buy it fractional wise. That means I can put my position, I can position myself into more investments. And that's what I did. So I ended up putting dollars, and that was to help establish an average cost for me. I don't worry about the stock prices no more. I'm done with the stock prices because I don't care. All I care about is where I originally put that dollar and how far it goes from that, downwise. And the more it went down, depending on what it is, I go find out what the story is. Why is it going down as much as I can? Sometimes the information ain't totally clear. And then I decide at that moment whether I'm going to take the risk of putting more money or not. And has that worked 100% of the time? No. It only worked, but it has been very, very lucrative for me. Like, it has been paying off very, very well for me. So that's why I tell people that I know personally, whatever, if you have a little bit of money, start small. Just start small. That's it. Set an average. I'm not saying that my what system works perfectly. It doesn't. I'm just saying this is what works for me. It sets an average. And then let's say you got Robinhood. I go into Robinhood, and when I put that dollar in there, my Robinhood account is set on total return. Like, they have like total return, they have percentage return, daily return. Daily returns and stuff like that. So there's different things in there. When you click on Robinhood on the right, it'll tell you got total return, percentage return, total return, all different things. I use total return because total return takes out the stock price, takes out everything. All it tells me is, am I making money or am I losing money overall? And that's all I cared about. If it went down far enough, then I will put more money. That's it. Just to keep lowering my average. And that's all I've done over the time that I've done it. 70% of my account is in the green. The ones that are in the red are just the ones that I'm still working on. And if I had more money, a lot of money, I probably would have. But that's it. 70% of my account in Robinhood is in the green. Meaning that I'm above what I originally bought it at. And that 30% that is not in the green is because I'm still working on it. And does that mean I'm going to get every last one of them in the green? No. It just means that the ones that are in the red for me, after I switch it to total return, depending on how far in the red it is the ones that I'm going to keep on feeding money into as much as I can. Sometimes if I think it's too bad, I might just stop and say I'm not investing anymore because I just don't feel comfortable enough to do it. I don't know. Honestly, Don, I don't know. And honestly, I don't know. I couldn't tell you. They might be. They might not be. I don't know. But my thing is this: if they're breaking the rules, whoever they are, I don't care who they are. If you're breaking the rules and if you're doing it illegally, you need to go to jail. That's it. I don't care if you're on the Trump team. I don't care if you're on the Democratic team. If someone is you doing inside trading, I don't care who you are. You should go to jail. Because if what's her, I forget her name off the top of my head. If she can go to jail for so-called inside trading, everybody else should too. So any member of Congress, anybody, if y'all doing inside trading and it's found out, you need to go to jail. I don't know if it's a fact or not. I'm not going to go into it because I don't know. But that's for the law enforcement to find out and put all those involved in jail. That's it. I don't care. I don't care what sides of the spectrum you on with that. Jay, you know Donald ain't Donald here to do what Donald do. Donald comes here to do what Donald do. But honestly, this, even though there was a little moment where I was talking a little political in the beginning, and you can't get away from politics when it comes to your money because, unfortunately, or fortunately, whatever one that you want to think about, money is affected by politics. So whether you like it or not, it is. You can sit there and you can complain about a lot of this stuff, or you can do what I'm doing is trying to capitalize on the information that's available. And my point to that, Jay, is when we were talking about the healthcare, the United Healthcare, when I was talking about it the other day, it dropped down to $250. And then all of a sudden, a couple of days later, Jay, it went up to back up to 300 and something. But that stock at one point was $500. I didn't get a chance to put enough money in it, so it's already in the green for me. And I was hoping to stay down long enough, but it didn't work out that way. But it is what it is. How much money did you make off of it, Donald? If you knew all of this, how much did you make? Because I'm being honest with you. How much did you make? If you knew all that, why you ain't make no money? Because I'm being honest with you. When they start talking about these tariffs and bringing back, when they start talking about these tariffs and bringing back all of these jobs into America, I started shifting how I invested. I told you, matter of fact, you was on the live when I was talking about Southern Copper. You was on the live when I was talking about EOG. Donald, you was on the live at that moment. So if I know it, and I don't have no inside trading information, I only know by what I see politically wise. I don't have no friends in Washington. I don't have no buddies that politically wise. I don't know no politicians personally. So they say it was inside trading when I'm like here. I mean, I'm benefiting from it based off the information that was made public. That's cool if you're not. I am. I am. And believe me when I tell you, I am. I work too. And I make good money doing that too. I got property too. I make money doing that too. I got investments too, and I make money doing that too. Either way, I ain't never got handouts. Never in my life have I gotten handouts from anybody. I work for every nickel I've ever got. I work for every nickel that I ever got. No one ever handed me. I ain't never gotten the help from assistance from no one. I work for everything I got. And if anybody ever handed me something, I got family members that would help me if I needed the help. But those very same family members have taken help just as much as I've given help. And that's my whole point. You know, it's easy for people to say, what they don't know and know about you. I work, and I've always worked. I've had my own businesses. I ran my own companies. I've been management of other companies. I've managed property and I had my own property. I've done a lot of stuff. And even what I'm doing right now. And you might not care. $65 ain't nothing, might not be nothing to you. You might have plenty of money. I don't know. I don't care. I count pennies just as much as I count quarters, just as much as I count nickels, dimes, dollars, all of it. I count it all. Because a penny earned, it's a penny saved. And I ain't got no beef with it. So however way I get it, that's my business because I'm putting in the effort to actually get it. And investing in the stock market requires money. Where am I going to get the money from? I got to go work for it first. In order for me to invest, if like I was talking about the 30,000, where am I going to get the 30,000 from? I got to go to work for that part. In order for me to invest in that 30,000 to get what you think is an insult of $65 a month. You don't know my financial status because I don't talk about it. I just talk about what I do. But even if I was the brokest man on the world, you don't try to what you're trying to do is throw shade, which is cool. But you don't throw shade on somebody because you feel because they're giving other people valuable information that may help them. That says a lot about your character. I'm not interested in $65 a month. But there might be somebody else out there that might need this knowledge that might help them. They might be struggling, but they might have $5 that they can invest. That's why I'm saying it. Because I'm giving them an opportunity that they might not have originally knew about. To take what they work for a little bit, where it ain't going to hurt your everyday life. And if you do small steps and consistently stay with it like I did, I'm not telling you no glory story like, oh, I made this bunch of money. I made millions of dollars. I never lost no money on the stock market, which I really haven't. I've made bad investments, but I have never lost my money on the stock market. And this is because I was able, and I realized that I had to be able to stomach some stuff. And with me doing it the way I was doing it has been good for me. And it might be somebody out there, might not, that these small little steps might help them if you can stomach it long enough. Because there is a gangster side to the government and Wall Street. They got big money. They don't really want you in this game. So they're going to spook the market to make sure that the rookies stay out. Soon as they spook it, what ends up happening is all of the people that tried to get in, and once they spook to see all their money going away, you know what they do? They run and they stay away forever. But they didn't spook me. I stayed. I did not leave. I didn't let the fear of losing money make me run because my eyes was on the prize. And just like Trump said, don't ever give up. And I didn't. And because I rode the wave and because I stuck to it and I did not give up, and when Wall Street was going harder trying to run people out, I was going harder to try to stay in. And down the road, guess what? They can't get me out now. Because I've established myself. Because I stayed long enough, put myself on the bottom side of some of the stuff that I invested because I'm on the bottom end. Now, you gotta pretty much almost drain that company stock in order for me to start losing money again. Because I stayed and I didn't quit. And that's my encouragement to anybody that's investing. Be patient, go slow, wait for great opportunity, and capitalize on it because we live in a capitalism society. You're either going to be a victim to it or not. Now, I sat there and I talked about a few things that I have stock in, right? And I talked about Ford. I talked about all these other different companies. 200, in my opinion, this is not factual, but in my opinion, when I do the math collectively, $250,000 invested in the right way at the right time, if you can catch a good minimum, in dividend stocks, it can pretty much pay for your cost of living every single day. It could. Because $250,000 minimum invested the right way can easily give somebody enough money to get a reasonably house, car, insurance, all of that stuff can almost be covered off your investments. Now, once you get above that, it gets even better. But around that is that sweet spot. Now, it might be a little higher, but I'm just saying that's that kind of sweet spot of if you stick to it long enough and you stick to the investments long enough, $250,000 invested the right way can offset. When I say cost of living, I'm not talking about like certain things that you're going to waste money on. I'm talking about like if you got a house that you have to pay a mortgage. Like, I'm going to give y'all an example. And I'm not going to be too long after this, but I'm going to just give y'all an example. I'm going to use a stock that I have that's a mortgage company. And I just need to go in and find out exactly the price of the stock. So if anybody on this live, right, do me a favor in the chat. What do Jay or Top to Bottom Hair and Skincare, do me a favor, because I know you guys might still be there. What do y'all think the average mortgage would be right now, monthly wise? Let's just say average. So y'all give me a chance, just throw a number in there in the chat. Yeah, it depends on the states. That's why I just said the average of mortgage company, like a mortgage payment. I'm sorry. What do y'all think the average mortgage payment would be right now? Okay, top to bottom says 3K. And I'm not saying that there's a right or wrong answer. I'm just trying to get y'all perspective on what do y'all think the average person pays in a mortgage every month. Now, this is not, okay. Top to bottom says 3K. Jay, you saying 2,200. And this is not a recommendation to go buy this stock. Because honestly, I probably wouldn't. But you can't always go by me. But I do have money in there. Oh, no, I'm not going to use that one. That's a little bit. Where is it at? Yeah, I get it, Jay. I'm not saying, I'm just trying to make a point of where the heck. All right, let me just type it in because I don't see where I'm having a hard time finding it. It's too much stuff in here to find. All right, BXMT. All right, so BXMT, right? This is a company I have stock in. All right, this is a company that I have stock in, BXMT, right? Current stock price is $19.40. I'm just going to use that mortgage company right now. And I'm going to round it off to $20 a share. I'm going to round it off to $20 a share. All right, so let's say you own $250,000. Now, Jay, you said 2,200. Top to bottom said 3K. So let's just say you had $250,000 invested into BXMT, all of the money, every single dime that you had, $250,000 invested into BXMT stock at the current price. every 3 months, you would get $3,375 every 3 months based off of the dividends. Oh, you know what? I think I did that wrong. I just realized that I just gave the wrong price. 0.47. I'm sorry. I did the wrong price. Their dividend was 47 cents. Yeah, 47 cents. I got to go back and check for sure. But I'm sorry. That would be $5,800 every 3 months and dividends just off that company if you invested at the current price. And you divide that by the month, that would be $1,900 a month. If you had $250,000 and you invested it into BXMT, right, and you just waited every 3 months for them to give you a dividend, you would come almost close to $6,000 a month. Now, Jay said $2,200, right? So $250,000 would almost cover that mortgage every month. So should you buy the house or should you invest in the mortgage company? This is the reason why I do it the way I do it. Now, I didn't pay $20 a share. I paid less than $20 a share. I'm just saying, America tells you to go get the house. That's what they want you to do. Why? So you get the debt. If I buy the mortgage company and I collect the dividend, $250,000 would give me almost $3,000, almost $2,000 every month. I mean, I would have to wait 3 months to get it, but that's almost $2,000 a month at the current price. That's at the current price that it is right now. Now, this is not a mortgage company. I'm going to use one more example, but this is not a mortgage company, but this is the reason why I do it the way I do it. And like I said, I'm not saying that it's the best way, the most perfect way, the way you should do it. No one should. I know better than anybody else. The way I do it is the best way to do it. That's not what I'm saying. I'm going to use one more example before I get out of here. Now, this is another mortgage company. And this mortgage company is Huntington Bank, right? Huntington Bank is a mortgage company that I have stock in. Their current price is $16 a share, but I'm not going to go by that. My average cost in that company is $9.85 a share. So I'm going to go by. Now, I know that they pay 15 cents every 3 months, right? So I'm going to go by their stock and what I actually paid for it. And this is what I said, if you buy it at the right time. All right, my bad. And if I did that one at the current price, well, not the current price, but where I paid for it, it would have gave me almost $4,000 every 3 months. Now, I have stock in both of these companies, and I have stock in more other companies. But this is my point, is that collectively, if you did it and bought stuff at the right time, and they pay out some type of dividends, you can offset the cost of your living. Now, the reason why I use $250,000 is I said that's like the minimum, not the maximum, the minimum. That if you did it right and you bought at the right time, you could possibly offset the cost of your living. Yes, it takes a lot of discipline. Yes, it takes a lot of sacrifice. But if you do it and you do it right and you're patient and you put that work in, you can offset the cost of living. And then by the time you get to retirement age, you've done all of that and your retirement, you can live pretty comfortable, depending on how far you got before you got there. And don't get me wrong, you're going to run into financial problems. Stuff's going to happen. Stuff's going to break down. Cars going to give you problems, all types of stuff. But I would say to anybody, start small. Start small. Start investing. Start small. And be patient. Wait for opportunity. Always have some money there for opportunity. That's it. And if you stomach it long enough, like I personally can push the brakes on investing. My investments make me money now. I don't have to buy. I don't use my own personal money to buy investments anymore. Once in a while I will when it really, really goes down. But all I'm doing right now is just recycling the money. The money that I have investing, the dividends that come in, I just recycle it in. That's it. I take the money and let it pile up. And if I see an opportunity, I dump money and let that money start making me more money. Because now it's enough there for me to feed itself. I don't have to feed money into it no more. That was the goal, was to feed it. And the more I kept feeding, and eventually now it's feeding itself. And eventually it's going to feed itself to the point where it's just made money. That's it. And now with Robinhood, and which is a great thing now, is that they've opened the door for you to be able to borrow against your own assets. I'm not saying you should, but instead of you selling off your stocks and making profit, and having to pay taxes on the profit, you borrow against it at a low interest rate because your money you making is so much that it'll pay the bill. And then you can do things off of borrowed money and then let the investments pay it back. And that's where it's at now, which is, to me, it's like all of these things were game changers for me. And one day I'm going to probably do like a Robinhood editorial. I use other things in Robinhood. Robinhood is just where I started from, so I'm a lot more comfortable with it. But I do have money invested on. I do invest my money, and I use other platforms like Cash App. I use Webull, and I use Webull and couple and Cash App, and I can't think of the other name of it, but I don't really use them all day long. I put money there, close. I buy, let the money build up, buy stuff, and I close it. I don't mess with it that much. Cash App and Robinhood is the ones that I use for the most part, the most. I find them to be the two easiest ones to use. That's why I use them. I think they're a lot more user friendly than some of the other ones. But that's just my take on it. But I'm getting ready to get up out of here. Appreciate y'all hanging in with a brother once again. I appreciate your time. God bless every single one of y'all. Hopefully y'all having a blessed day. And like I always say, if you don't have Jesus Christ in your life, if you don't have a relationship with God, that matters more than anything I can talk about. We can go through this stuff all day long. But without a relationship with God, it's meaningless. And that's real talk. Y'all have a blessed, wonderful day. And I'm out of here. Peace.